People are still coming from the coffee break, but we have to start because of the streaming. So, welcome everybody. I am Gennaro Russo. I'm Rio for everybody. I'm, uh, uh, I'm member of the Italian Institute of the Future, and particularly I'm responsible for the technological hub called Center for Near Space, that deals with space activities in general. Today we have a specific session. We are absolutely in English because we are streaming worldwide. Thanks to a link and agreement with the Moon Village Association. We have also the president of the Moon Village Association. I will introduce him in a moment. And can you mandare il numero, come si chiama? Il filmato numero uno, il file numero uno. I will keep you, I will take a few minutes introducing this presentation. Okay. Okay, so the session is it's talking about the timing and going from the first landing on the moon in back in 1969 and up to now, today, let's say, and in the future. It is important to formalize the fact that we are talking about, let's say, sort of 100 years, essentially, going from moon landing up to the near future, and we will see midterm. I want to say that we are, as I was mentioning, we are streaming thanks to and we are member of the International Moon Day. In particular, this session has been incorporated into the events, the global events of the International Moon Days. That is, and then Giuseppe will talk about more in detail about the International Moon Day. It is an initiative of the Moon Village Association. You see the number of countries that are, running events related to the International Moon Day. We are now streaming, as I already told you. I think that work. Okay. Center for Near Space. What is the Center for Near Space? As I said, it's a part of the Italian Institute for the Future. Something is not working. Anyway. We were born, I don't know what's happening. We were born in 2015, so we are celebrating this year 10 years of our activities. And just I have a picture of 10 years ago when we, let's say, launched the Center for Near Space. I want to invite the president of the Italian Institute for the Future, Roberto Paola, to say a few words about that moment. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. 10 years ago it was July. You see, it's a special date also for the lovers of French Revolution, and it was the founding moment of the Center for Near Space. After 10 years, we are still here, not because of your past, but it's a beautiful setting as well. And I think a lot of things the Center for Near Space made during this year, these 10 years. I won't remember the reports, but Rino will say something about this. The many reports we did about the future space habitats on the so-called Cislunar city and the new habitats on the moon, and they are still starting their work on the future habitats on Mars. And apart from this, also the discussion about how to change the mindset of how humans will live in space. And for instance, Veronica Moronese, that is also the chief scientist inside the scientific committee of the Institute for the Future for Near Space, is working a lot about, for instance, decolonizing the concept of human settlement outside the Earth. So a lot of engineering work, but also humanistic work, sociological, political work, and in the classical transdisciplinary approach of the Italian Institute for the Future. So after 10 years, we are here for celebrating this moment, but also to imagine next 10 years and next 100 years of humankind in space. Thank you, Dino.
Thank you very much, Roberto. And there's no time to celebrate much, so we go simply ahead. And next slide, do something. Okay, what is Center for Near Space, or the objective of Center for Near Space? I don't want to go through many things, but it is important for us to underline that we fixed since the beginning our objectives is disseminate the space culture, disseminate or contribute to disseminating what we call the civil astronautics, that is similar for those not experts of the sector, similar to the civil aeronautics that have been developed during the last century. So there are a lot of signals, strong and weak, saying that the civil astronautics will develop during the present century. You see some graphs just to pick up the idea that we are also specific technologies. This is one example. We try to project in the far future what will be the capability, the main characteristic of certain kind of technologies in order to understand the possibility of doing something or not. What is important to say is that the expansion of humanity in space has already begun, and we strongly
169, ore 4:57.
Many of you, many of us, the oldest at least, remember very well that moment. Compared to us, this was the moment in which, logically speaking, the expansion of humanity in space began. And we will love to say that the first step of humankind on the moon corresponds, without changing the story, but just corresponding to the first step of humankind beyond the Earth. This is our, let's say, initial point. What's going on? Is something wrong in the slides? Okay. The next issue I want to anticipate, thanks to Giuseppe Rebaldi. We have a memorandum of understanding with Moon Village Association since years, 5 years in particular. We are going to launch very, very soon a specific work group worldwide, of course, with the objective to analyze the direct and indirect, let's say, impact on Earth activities, all kinds of activities, of the Moon Village, the activities on the moon, and what is going to happen in the next years or decades, let's say, outside the Earth. Please stay tuned because we will officialize this working group very, very soon. And thanks again to Giuseppe. Okay, so that's the last slide to present the panel. We, as I already told you, we just very quickly ran from the 1969, the first landing on the moon, through the Moon Village that we'll talk about in a few seconds. We will talk about the Cislunar city that okay, I will present you later on, and then we will also think about what will happen on Mars. And Antonio Del Mastro will talk about Mars. This is very, very shortly the trip that we are going to do. This is the agenda, the detailed agenda. I don't know why. Okay. This is the detailed agenda. So we have a number of speakers. Unfortunately, we have already taken some time to start the session, but I would say if we are able to remain, each speaker, of course, remain in 10, 12 minutes plus Q&A eventually, or the other way around, you can take 15 minutes and we will have 5 minutes or some minutes at the end for question and answer. So, saying that, I would like to introduce different speakers, and first of all, Giuseppe Baldi, that will talk about lunar exploration and the utilization. Giuseppe is a senior space policy advisor in general. It has been a director of the European Space Agency, In the past, President is the president of Moon Village Association, and I think it's enough in order to save time for your presentation. So I invite Giuseppe to let us know what about Moon Village Association activities. Thank you.
Okay, so I can speak. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so first of all, if you can start to put the PowerPoint, please. I like first of all to thank you and all the Center for the Future for this excellent conference. I'm sorry that I was not able to be physically with you. Naples is a wonderful city, and obviously I would have preferred to be in person and meet you, but I try to do my best online. So what I will try to do in try to keep the time is to first of all talk about what does it mean lunar explorations. I put a little bit in the context, as Rino has already somehow indicated, and then I will spend a few words about explaining what is the Moon Village Association for the people which might not know. So that is the plan. And so let's dive in with the first chart. Of course, I will be talking about the International Moon Day in a moment, as Rino said, because it is an International Moon Day global event. I will explain what does it mean. So Rino has already reminded everybody that we went to the moon in '69. In reality, there has been 10 years of basically race. You can see some of people old like me remember some of those pictures on the newspaper. So it was really a political race of two systems between the former Soviet Union and United States, and we all know who won the race. So it was not so much related scientific interest or to exploit what the moon was, but it was to demonstrate a political system. And of course, United States won, and everybody is aware of the different mission. So therefore, I will now talk about what is the situation now, which is of course much more relevant. So if I can have the next one, please. So the message is, why are we going to the moon now? No, the previous one, please. Why are we going back to the moon? So I have a lot of people which are asking me, but if we have been there already more than 50 years ago, why are we going back, and what is the relevance of the moon? Well, so I am trying to explain briefly why not only, let's say, one country, but many countries in the world, they are going to the moon. So, and main reason is economics. So on the moon, there are a lot of natural resources which they were not known at the time of the first lunar landing. And you can see there water, strange enough, but there is a lot of water. What you see basically in the picture are some, let's say, measurement made from orbit of potential reservoir of water. Obviously, there is no water flowing. This is water which is contained in the regolith. And of course, we have to understand where. And of course, in many craters which have never seen the light, deep in the craters is expected a lot of water, in particular to the South Pole. That's why there is a race, as we talk later, to go to the South Moon from everybody. So we have rare element helium-3, which is not really only used for a futuristic fusion reactor, but is used for basically quantum computing. And I think that is a much more applicable and relevant, let's say, activity. Then there is a lot of science from the moon, a lot of science. There is no time to go in detail, but it goes from astronomy, biology, history of the Earth. What you need to realize that we can consider the moon as a fishnet of the solar system. Everything which has been going on since more than 4 billion years is on the surface or just below of the moon, because nobody has taken away. There is no atmosphere. So clearly, this is a wealth, is a big refrigerator, biggest refrigerator that you can find basically in the solar system. So if I can go to the next one, please. Then, of course, there are also some practical consideration. At the time of the Apollo mission, it was very expensive, as you all know, and two only countries could afford it. Now, space transportation and technology, exponential technology, has brought down cost to a level that basically even a private company can, let's say, and they have done it, they can launch and operate a private mission, commercial mission. So that has democratized the basically the arrival and the mission to the moon. And then, of course, there is unfortunately is always there a strategic relevance from the military, because who control the moon and the Cislunar space has a major advantage compared to who is on Earth. So all of these elements together and many more brings to the fact that really there is a huge interest, even after 50 years, to go back to the moon. And so if I can have the next one, then we are going to see very briefly, just to give you an example. I will go quick because of time, but you can see on the website and on this one. So there has been plenty of mission. I'm going to start still from 2024. So you can see just quickly, there is a commercial organization from Japan, which basically has launched but this is the it's a not the commercial. This is the country. So this was launched by JAXA. Then there is Astrobotics, which is a private. Then Intuitive Machine, private. And you can see that it didn't work. And then the only mission which worked in 2024 was from China, which landed for the first time on the far side of the moon. And you can see some picture of relic. By the way, the Japanese with JAXA landed successfully and becoming the fourth country on the moon after United States, Russia, and then India. And then there are basically Japan. So if we can have the next one, very briefly, again, to show, again, a number of other missions, and you can see only few of them, they have been successful. The main point is that going to the moon, even after 50 years of the first time, in an economic way, is still hard. And this is proved by the success rate, which is below 50%. So you can see iSpace, it was the commercial mission was referring, two failure in a row, but they are continuing. So there are many other missions this year, but there has been, and this is important, Intuitive Machine, which is the picture on the top left, which has been basically successful. The Firefly has been fully successful, and as you can see, it's been the first commercial landing completely successful. And this is a major important. And then later in the year, we expect probably to see also Blue Origin with the Blue Moon Mark 1 lander, which will be used also for humans. So in 2026, and that will cover next year, there is a major mission, and is the first mission, Artemis 2, which is planning to send humans to the moon. They will not go on the surface, they will go in orbit around the moon, and this will take place sometimes middle the second part of the year. So as of 2026, humans will travel back to the moon. And then, of course, there are other missions which we didn't have time to talk here. But the main message I want to leave you with this first part is that the moon is back on this much more important than before. All the country, or many countries, more than, as you can see in the next chart, please. In the next chart shows you that there is a lot of country interested in the moon with many, many missions. There are more than 100 missions planned. And so I think it's quite, it seems quite not credible, but it's going to be very busy on the surface of the moon. And that's the reason why we do need to have some sort of control order in order to make sure that there is no conflict. And that is why one of the root of the Moon Village Association. So if I can have the next one. So the organization was created back in 2017, but people do not talk too much about the moon. But of course, we were aware, the founder and president still of the organization. So the goal is to be a platform to try to bring together all these countries which not always cooperate with each other. In particular, as you can imagine, China and United States, they are not extremely close to each other. And of course, this is one of the main mission, is to try to bring them together in a multidisciplinary topic, as we will see. So we have an important task, which is to report to the United Nations, because we are a permanent observer. So all activity that we do, and of course, including also the cooperation that we have with you, Rino, can be and will be reported to the United Nations. And so this is important because it gives visibility to all the organization. Of course, ours is a voluntary organization, is an NGO. And of course, the main motivation that we can offer to the people is the relevance of what they are doing and of course the visibility. So we have at the moment participants from about 57 countries, which is not bad considering that Corpus is 104 countries. And so you can be at the individual as well as the institutional level. And we have also, as has been said by Rino, we have also basically MOU like the one which we have with the Institute for the Future. So if I can go to the next one. So these do not be alarmed. I'm not going to go through. So, but this gives you a palette of all the different kind of activity that the organization have, and in particular, we have two flagship activity, which I'm going to talk a little bit more. One is International Moon Day, which obviously is what we are discussing and celebrating also today. And then, of course, GEXLA, which is also a specific activity. All the others, I will simply mention one or two, but as you can see, they range from economy, governance, education. We have an MBA academy, industry, trying to help developing but emerging countries to get involved in the moon, architecture, lunar agriculture, very important in order to be a sustainable lunar exploration, cultural, extremely important element to penetrate in the public, as well as human physiology and analog. So this is the full palette. You can watch it and see more activity going on the website. So if I can have the next one, try to accelerate. So I think Rino has shown the situation of this year. Let me make a small correction to Rino. The International Moon Day is a United Nations, let's say, event. The Moon Village is much more important than the MVA. The MVA had the pleasure to propose and to initiate, and strange enough, a non-governmental organization normally does not make proposal, but because this proposal was so appreciated by everybody, it was approved in a matter of 4 months. And so we went through straight to the approval at the General Assembly, which took place in December 2021, and this was approved. So this is a formal UN event. So what we all and who is participating in this event will be reported to the United Nations and will give a proper level of visibility. This shows you how it is been evolving in the years. I think what Rino showed is the situation of this year, and there is still possibility for people to organize Moon Village, International Moon Day global event till the 31st of October. So if I can have the next one. So this year, the main event, so this main event and global event, main event are physical event, and there is only one. So this year, we were in Dubai. As you have seen previously, last year we were in China, the year before in Korea, and we started obviously from the right place, which is United States. There are plenty of information, video on all the different type of, let's say, intervention that they were made at this meeting. If I can go to the next one, try to come to us. So lunar governance, as I said, is a fundamental issue because too many countries are going to the moon without having a clear rule. So therefore, those mentioned there is some of the issues, but we have many more issues which we have to make sure that countries do agree. The focal point is in Vienna, where is the Committee for Outer Space, where, as I said, we are basically observer status, and we report every meeting 3 times per year, all these kind of activities. So, but in February 2021, the MVA created specifically the Global Expert Group on Sustainable Rural Activity. If I can go to the next one, the goal of this activity with participation, as you can see, from stakeholders from all the world, which included also Russia, China, India, all the major players, was indeed to go around the table and discuss and find out basically how, in a peaceful way, to operate on the moon. The result of this activity, the next one, we have published a document which has gone to the United Nations, has been presented several times, is recommended framework, and I'm pleased to say that together with the creation of the International Moon Day, because of this activity, the chairman of this group made a proposal which has led to the creation within the United Nations of a specific group dedicated to the coordination of lunar activity. So if I can go to the next one, please. Then just a word about the participation of emerging space country. A lot of interest in the public is in country which you will not imagine, like Nepal, as well as Mongolia, as well as many others. And we try to give coaching to this country and let them organize basically a roadmap in order to also create the space agency, because many of those countries do not have a space agency. So I'm now coming towards the end. So the next one, I like just to mention every year the organization have a global Moon Village workshop. So we are number 9. Next year is going to be 10. And this year, I'm pleased to say that is very close. We have seen a number of papers also submitted by a number of people from your organization. And so we invite all of you, all the participants, to come and participate. There will be participation from China, the United States. It's a 2 days meeting in the frame of a larger meeting organized by the Italian Association for Aeronautic and Astronautic, and you can see detail, of course, on the website. My last chart, please, the next one, is so in conclusion, the moon is back in a very important way, and that's why it's very timely, this discussion. And so we have been created to act as a platform to help. International today is a strategic tool to foster global cooperation. And of course, we try to help and push the discussion at the level of the United Nations. I mentioned this group, so we are pleased to say that 2 major results in the United Nations were the result of the Moon Village Association. So I think, therefore, it's important now the cooperation and coordination of lunar activity takes place considering the complex political scenario. And with that, in the last chart, I'd like to thank all of you. So the next chart for the attention, and I'm sorry if I was a bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a couple of points. Italy is present in Geneva because of me, at least. I don't know if others have been participating to this working group, so very, very interesting issues. And the second point, okay, it's going out of my mind, sorry for that. We will leave the question at the end of the session, so we pass to the next speaker, and the next speaker is, wait a moment. The next speaker is Nunzia Favaloro. Nunzia is responsible for head of space exploration satellite unit at Italian Aerospace Research Center CIRA, that is in Capua here. She will talk about all the issues and CIRA new technology for future space exploration mission.
Provo a raccontarvi quello che il CIRA sta facendo rispetto alle tecnologie di esplorazione spaziale, partendo dai problemi, quindi dagli issues affrontati già nelle prime missioni di esplorazione spaziale. Allora, parto da una slide che mi si gira. Ok, parto dalla Space Exploration Roadmap, la roadmap internazionale che molti di voi già sicuramente conoscono, per evidenziare che le maggiori agenzie spaziali internazionali hanno redatto questa roadmap traguardando nel 2040 quello che è Marte e prima nel 2030 la Luna. Vi faccio vedere questa slide per sottolineare che in realtà solo pochi anni fa questa roadmap nel 2030 traguardava già Marte. Ci si è resi conto in pochissimo tempo che in realtà le tecnologie non erano ancora abbastanza mature per permettere la vita, quindi l'esplorazione umana su un pianeta così ostile come Marte. E quindi dal punto di vista tecnologico quello che facciamo a CIRA è studiare sicuramente quindi tutte le tecnologie per la Luna traguardando ovviamente Marte. Allora, qui sono un po' racchiuse quelle che sono le principali tecnologie, ma non sono tutte, perché a CIRA facciamo moltissime cose, quelle che sono le principali tecnologie legate alla esplorazione spaziale lunare e marziana. Oggi il tempo è pochissimo, proverò a raccontarvi un paio di queste tecnologie un po' più in dettaglio, poi ovviamente diciamo, perché se bisogna maggiori informazioni sono a disposizione. Allora, parto da un video che parla appunto del passato. Non faccio il video. Ok. Questa è un video reale, vedete che l'astronauta tende a pulire nel verbo senza la parola quella che è la polvere sull'astronauta. Quello che succede è che la polvere lunare è una polvere molto molto particolare da ripulire. Sono microparticelle che come vi farò vedere a brevissimo è una polvere fortemente adesiva, quindi tende ad attaccarsi a qualunque tipo di oggetto. Questo è il casco dell'astronauta che è completamente oscurato dalla rigolite, ma in più qua si vedono la rigolite che è attaccata sia a quelle che sono le ruote, ma anche diciamo, all'habitat e al. Questa è una foto reale di Apollo 17 e come vedete la tuta dell'astronauta è completamente riempita da rigolite. Il problema qual è? È che la rigolite lunare, oltre ad essere molto adesiva, in realtà è fatta da microparticelle che come vi farò vedere tra poco sono avulse e taglienti e soprattutto sono tossiche se inalate dagli astronauti. Quello che quindi abbiamo fatto è partendo dalla necessità, dal goal di raggiungere la Luna e poi Marte, tenendo conto di quelle che sono le esperienze del passato, quindi le missioni precedenti, abbiamo iniziato a lavorare su quelle che sono le nuove tecnologie. Soltanto brevemente vi faccio vedere la differenza tra la polvere del deserto del Sahara, quelle sono microparticelle del deserto del Sahara, e queste invece microparticelle di rigolite lunare. Vedete la differenza perché la Luna, come diceva il collega prima, è priva di atmosfera. Essendo priva di atmosfera, noi sulla Terra abbiamo fenomeni che tendono a erodere le particelle, ci sono le famose erosioni, per cui le particelle appaiono tondeggianti. Sulla Luna non c'è atmosfera, non ci sono piogge denti, per cui le particelle sono molto molto avulse, taglienti, come vi dicevo, tossiche se inalate, e poi, proprio per l'assenza dell'atmosfera, i raggi UV continuano a bombardare il sole lunare. Questo vuol dire che le particelle si caricano elettricamente e quel fenomeno che vedete lì si chiama fenomeno di substitution, ovvero le particelle anche sul suolo lunare non fanno altro che spostarsi, muoversi, e questo vuol dire quindi che anche se non c'è un rover in movimento, non c'è una persona in movimento, le particelle tendono a saltare e quindi a aderire. Questi sono degli esempi di possibili sistemi su cui sviluppare nuovi materiali per evitare quello che è il problema che vi dicevo, ovvero dell'adesione delle polveri. A CIRA che cosa abbiamo fatto? Partendo quindi da quella che è la storia, dal problema dell'adesione delle polveri lunari, e partendo quindi soprattutto da quello che sono il nostro know-how, il CIRA da 40 anni si occupa di strutture materiali, aerodinamica, aerotermodinamica, un po' tutto quello che riguarda il mondo spaziale. Quello che abbiamo fatto è iniziare a studiare la possibilità di sviluppare un nuovo materiale, anche là il video non parte, un nuovo materiale per risolvere quello che è diciamo, quindi per affrontare la dust mitigation da un punto di vista passivo. Abbiamo quindi sviluppato questo nuovo materiale che è in grado non soltanto di mantenere tutte le proprietà termiche, meccaniche, perché ovviamente in un ambiente spaziale il materiale non soltanto deve essere in grado di resistere a sbalzi di temperatura. Sulla Luna si arriva a 120-130 gradi, ma anche a meno 120 gradi, e quindi presenta tutte le caratteristiche necessarie per i materiali, ma contemporaneamente presenta una bassissima adesione superficiale. Per farvi rendere conto di che cos'è l'adesione superficiale, per misurarla e quindi per dimostrare che le particelle di polvere non si attaccano al materiale, quello che si fa è misurare l'angolo di contatto con l'acqua. Volete fare qui? Grazie. Questo è un video reale di un test che abbiamo fatto, e l'angolo di contatto, quindi tra la superficie che è esposta, quindi il nostro materiale, e la luccia, evidenzia il fatto che per il materiale che viene maggiormente utilizzato durante le missioni spaziali, che è il Capcom, l'angolo di contatto è di circa 82-83 gradi, quindi la particella, vuol dire che si vede la forma, aderisce completamente alla superficie. Abbiamo sviluppato questo materiale che è super idrofobico, ovvero raggiunge un angolo di contatto di circa 170 gradi, per cui quello che succede è che le particelle di regolite tendono a scivolare sul materiale e non restano adese. Contemporaneamente però stiamo studiando anche dei metodi di gas mitigation di tipo attivo, perché dovete pensare che sulla Luna ovviamente il principale, a parte quello nucleare ovviamente, la principale fonte di energia sarà l'energia solare durante i 14 giorni di luce, ma il pannello solare ci si è resi conto subito che la vita operativa dei pannelli solari diminuisce drasticamente di 1/3 a causa della lesione della regolite. Quindi quello che stiamo pensando di fare, quello che in realtà già stiamo studiando, è l'utilizzo di questo materiale ma con sistemi attivi, ovvero sistemi essenzialmente elettrodinamici in grado di spostare quella che è la polvere e quindi lasciare il pannello solare completamente pulito. Ok. Vi racconto brevemente tutte le altre tecnologie che fanno parte di questo progetto, che è un progetto per ora, quindi pagato essenzialmente dal MIUR. E sempre in ambito di materiali, l'altra grossa problematica sulla Luna, ma in generale per l'esplorazione spaziale, sono sicuramente le radiazioni cosmiche. Radiazioni cosmiche che ovviamente non sono attenuate da nessun tipo di atmosfera, per questo noi stiamo parlando essenzialmente di ioni pesanti. Ioni pesanti o particelle cariche molto pericolose, che sono pericolose non soltanto per i meccanismi, per i sistemi elettronici, ma soprattutto per l'uomo, soprattutto durante le missioni di lunga durata. Durante le missioni di lunga durata bisogna pensare a proteggere, a schermare l'uomo non soltanto durante il viaggio, ma anche nel caso di colonizzazione e quindi di abitabilità di un pianeta per molto tempo. Stiamo studiando e abbiamo anche creato un tool per simulare quello che è non soltanto il fenomeno di saltation di cui vi parlavo prima, ma anche un altro fenomeno legato essenzialmente a Marte. Marte presenta un'atmosfera per cui è possibile avere per esempio degli elicotteri oltre ad avere dei rover. Il problema è che su Marte si genera lo stesso fenomeno che si genera sulla Terra del burnout, ovvero quando l'elicottero decolla si alza tutta una polvere di polvere, per cui il sistema non è in grado, anche il pilota o comunque un astronauta che sia in quelle zone, non è in grado di guidare. Ovviamente i tempi di risposta alle latenze sono lunghissimi, perché ovviamente il sistema di comunicazione, stiamo parlando di un pianeta molto lontano, e quindi quello che stiamo facendo è cercare di studiare, di simulare questi fenomeni per trovare ovviamente una soluzione. Così come anche lo sviluppo di profili aerodinamici per questi riporti che siano ottimizzati proprio per quel tipo di atmosfera, e poi rispetto alla realtà virtuale, oggi tanti colleghi parlavano anche dell'utilizzo delle realtà virtuali che può aiutare. Quello che stiamo facendo è abbiamo già sviluppato un tool per la familiarizzazione dell'astronauta. Come vedete qui c'è un collega che ha essenzialmente un caschetto e dei guanti, i guanti artici che utilizzano oggi tutti i giovani, e siamo in grado quindi di simulare che cosa succede all'interno diciamo, di un abitacolo, ma anche su Marte, per esempio anche per la maintenance diciamo, delle missioni, ma non soltanto. Da qualche settimana abbiamo anche sviluppato un tool che è collaborativo, ovvero tiene conto della collaborazione di più astronauti che in realtà virtuale, quindi entrambi con cappette e guanti, riescono a lavorare insieme diciamo, per completare una missione delle operazioni. Il Cile lavora moltissimo anche sulla robotica e in particolare mi fa piacere dire che moltissimi sono i rover che ormai ci sono su Luna e Marte a livello internazionale. Ci si è resi conto però che uno dei problemi, noi siamo un centro di ricerca, per cui cerchiamo diciamo, di sviluppare quelle che sono le tecnologie un po' di nicchia e quindi risolvere quei problemi a cui magari l'industria piuttosto che l'università diciamo, non sono interessate, comunque non hanno ancora la capacità, perché magari non hanno un centro di ricerche interne, e ci siamo resi conto che uno dei problemi maggiori è quello dello sviluppo di ruote in grado di adattarsi in qualche modo ai diversi suoli che ci sono sulla superficie lunare, perché anche sulla Luna ovviamente ci sono diverse composizioni del suolo, ma in più ci sono zone che sono fortemente ripide, altre zone dove ci sono molte sassi veri e propri, altre pianeggianti, e quindi c'è bisogno di un sistema in grado di adattarsi. Stiamo lavorando a questo progetto non soltanto nell'ambito di fondi del MUR, ma anche grazie a quello che è il progetto nazionale che forse conoscete, pagato dall'Agenzia Spaziale Italiana, che è SPEEDIT-UP, che è un progetto che riunisce le maggiori aziende, università e centri di ricerca italiani, siamo 36 o 37, e stiamo lavorando insieme per sviluppare tecnologie e anche sistemi per l'esplorazione spaziale. Quindi anche in questo l'Italia diciamo, sta facendo veramente grandi passi avanti. E vi racconto brevemente alcune attività diciamo, di cui si occupa sempre la mia unità. Noi sviluppiamo anche tecnologie per i satelliti, in particolare per esempio nel caso del satellite Ramses, sono velocissima, noi stiamo lavorando per portare in orbita dei sensori sempre per le radiazioni, per quello che vi dicevo prima, e abbiamo sviluppato tutta la missione e anche diciamo, insieme alla società del sensore, così come ovviamente ci occupiamo di tutti i problemi che sono legati al rientro in atmosfera terrestre o sugli altri pianeti, che ovviamente hanno il grosso problema diciamo, di dover avere un heat shield. Ho corso, spero di essere stata rimasta nei tempi.
Grazie Monica. Avete visto che quindi che di Luna si parla normalmente in termini fattivi eccetera, e l'Italia è appunto attiva come Monica ci ha sottolineato. Guardiamo un po' adesso un po' più avanti, quindi andiamo un po' più lontano diciamo, nel tempo e anche per certi versi nello spazio. Vi sarò io a presentare la Cislunar City, che è uno studio che il Center for Near Space da quando ha cominciato a lavorare, tra le altre cose, fa. Se possiamo passare alla presentazione numero quella successiva, eccolo qua. Cislunar City, con questo. Allora, essendo parte del Design Digital Future, adottiamo ovviamente gli strumenti soliti che conoscete meglio di me, quindi non li menziono più di tanto, ma quello che voglio dire è che appunto per quanto riguarda i segnali forti noi utilizziamo sostanzialmente i report o i piani strategici delle agenzie spaziali, dalla NASA, l'ESA, l'ASI e tutte quelle che riusciamo a reperire ovviamente. Ovviamente, andiamo a vedere anche ovviamente i segnali deboli che sono molto legati che tiriamo fuori attraverso interlocuzioni con gruppi di lavoro, con specialisti delle industrie oppure delle università. Il lavoro sarebbe veramente immenso perché sarebbero tantissime persone da contattare, ma noi ci riserviamo delle nicchie di attività e di alcune interlocuzioni che adesso ci hanno dato diciamo, risultati interessanti e buoni. Andiamo avanti. Questo è un dettaglio, adottiamo un sistema metodo Delphi che con questo su alcune cose specifiche. Vado avanti per dire quindi sostanzialmente che, come già detto precedentemente, l'espansione dell'umanità è già partita, è già stata avviata nel lontano 1900. Switch to English, sorry, I was complaining about the people in streaming. So the expansion of humanity in space goes back to 1969, and the idea essentially is to, based on the strong and weak signals, is to investigate what could be the scenarios in the last quarter of this century. And of course, something will change, hopefully at least. We go further. We created the working group called Orbitecture, that is just a neologism coming from orbital architecture. And essentially, the main idea was that the very, very wonderful masterpiece of the International Space Station, after all, is a Paleolithic design. It's similar to the car of the beginning of the story of the automobile. So again, from the strong and weak signals, we determined that in the long run, we should try to maximize, to adopt this kind of design criteria. So minimize the weight per capita, this is normal. Maximize the space per capita, and often I pose the question in this moment, who of you would like to simply live in a space like the International Space Station? It's not very nice. It's a nice place to work, and not nice place to live. And the third point is very important for us, because certainly after the experimental period, if people will have to live in space, on the moon, etc., will have also to integrate activities that today are absolutely impossible on the International Space Station. The famous, let's say, the social activities are very important. Think about people staying over there for years. It would be absolutely important to have, time to dedicate to yourself, time to dedicate to the relation with others, I think like that. Okay, so at the end we arrived to the idea and the let's say concept that in the long run that would be, it is possible. We say this: it is possible. We believe that it's possible and probable that is a real city will be realized symbolically 100 years after the first step of the man outside of the Earth. But symbolically, concretely, we say the last part of this century, up to now at least. You have seen a number of levels that some of them certainly have attracted your attention. It is important to underline the fact that, and we'll come back to this, it is important to underline that it is absolutely linked. The realization of such kind of city is absolutely linked to the implementation of a private say environment, private society, if you want, because simply governments cannot allow in terms of money to do something like this. So, what is this Cislunar city? Cislunar city is a city of around 1,000 people, distributed in a number of quarters, if you want, and we have tried to identify where and which kind of quarters should be these. You see there are quarters dedicated to industrial processing, quarters dedicated to hotels, resorts and things like that. That are also assembly and storage, or solar power station for energy, of course, and things like that. The Cislunar city will range from the low Earth orbit, the orbit around the Earth, up to the moon, around the moon, and on the surface of the moon. And there are also some other characteristic points. You see L1, L4, and L5 are the Lagrangian points. They have certain characteristics. it is not the case to enter the detail right now. Again, you have seen some number of levels, and the first one was industry. Again, once more, industry. There's no possibility to have this kind of development only on the basis of researchers. But we know we are already in this direction, because you've seen that since a number of years, the space activities, especially in the United States, but also in Europe right now, is becoming, let's say, is involving a lot of private funding and private companies. You see here numbers. Don't read the specific number, but I put the table to indicate, and I will put other things in the next slides, to show the fact that we try to understand how, let's say, feasible, in brackets, this future scenario could be, and we have tried to investigate about this kind of, in brackets again, feasibility. And so, with this kind in mind, what's happened? Okay. This is just a video showing one of these stations that we have investigated a bit in terms of understanding, try to understanding if it is feasible or not. It is a crazy idea or something that will be feasible at that time. This is a space hub. It's a 120 people space station. It is a sort of a service station between the Earth and the Moon. And certainly it is necessary for refueling, for maintenance, for preparing to jump on the Moon or jump toward Mars, etc. And we have tried to played a bit the configurations, the dimensions, the technologies to build such kind of things, and try to imagine what could really look like, how it could look like, and if it is again feasible or not. Okay, just a few seconds and then we'll skip the video. Otherwise, we'll stay all day here. Yeah. Anyway, I want to underline the fact again that I did say, working group architecture was made of a number of some tens of people, ranging from young students, 16-year-olds, to very old experts, 85 years old, people from architectural sector or engineering or crops sectors and physiologies, lot of different disciplines. I always say in this moment there's only one pool in our working group. Now we have not been able to involve some doctors in that. Anyway, you can work. Right? Just to work about how it is. The central sphere is essentially a group, an ambient in which are microgravity laboratories, microgravity or low gravity laboratories. The entire station have a rotation speed of 2 rounds per minute, and this creates a lunar gravity on the internal toroids and Mars gravity on the external toroids. But there are also a number of classical hotel, let's say, apartments, if you want, for double rooms, but also social condensation areas for social activities. I go further. Then we have also made another experiments, another design experiments, evaluation experiments on the Moon. This is a moon surface industry, and the major idea is that this infrastructure is just post, let's say, on the surface of the moon without excavating anything or minimizing the excavation efforts in order not to reduce time, certainly, and cost, but also not to destroy, let's say, the surface of the moon. This is another station of 120 people, roughly. We have, for example, investigated to try to estimate how much effort is needed to excavate or to produce, let's say, propulsion systems or propellants from the lunar surface. And so we have been doing a number of activities to again understand how this city configuration looks like from one side and it's feasible. This is another example. We try to understand how to go from one part to another, and we had to identify a possible transportation system. So forget about the orbit. These are indicatives. We are just this is an hypothesis, and just to give you a few more elements. I forget also all these details, but what is important that we estimated this kind of traffic, personal traffic and cargo traffic, or one terrestrial year, 120,000 passengers per year, etc. And essentially, the system, the transportation system is supposed to be made of 22 operational vehicles, plus five other vehicles in maintenance shift, of course. We estimate also the cost of the entire system and things like that. And this kind of system could guarantee continuous, possibility of running from one quarter to another. I think we go now to some economic issue. We don't go into detail, but what I want to underline is that we estimated the annual budget for running the entire Cislunar city, and what is important that the number estimated the 400 billion euro per year is roughly the equivalent, similar to the present space economy of today. We also see that the management and maintenance of the infrastructure is the most important cost element, while on the revenue side, of course, the industrial activities is the only one that can guarantee the balance of the budget, the annual budget. If you go from the capital point of view, so already the economy over the years, you see that like 2070, we will get 60 trillions euros. That represents the present world GDP. Okay, there is no time to go into some details. Let me go further, and I concluded here just for you some references with our publication. Everything is available on the Italian for the Future website. Some of these documents are for free, other are associated with some cost, of course. And this is my presentation ends here. To give you the idea that there is we had from the moon to set underline that next year people will be going around the moon. So that's not real fantasy on a very far future. It's not present yet. So this could be midterm or long-term future. Thank you for listening to me. And thank you. And I pass now the floor to next speaker, that is the team is a legal framework for the Cislunar city. Veronica Maronese, myself, Lucia Mariarte, and Vigilizzo in particular. Veronica will presentation. Let me sorry. Veronica is Director Legal Affairs and Space Law at Think Orbit, a US company. Is member of the International Institute of Space Law and also member of Center for Near Space. Lucilla is full professor of civil law and new technology at University of Benincasa. She is director of the Research Center for European Private Law, and is also director of the European Journal of Privacy Law and Technologies. Luigi Izzo is a PhD candidate in Humanities and Technologies at the University of Benincasa.
Thank you. I'll use it. Very happy to be here today, talking about one of the most controversial aspects regarding the expansion of humanity into space. Because when we think about the technology and the scientific aspects of going to space, we are always according each one another. But when it comes to law and politics, they are a bit different. So we thought that was interesting and important in this scenario, just to dive a little bit in what are the main issues arising from a legal point of view when we are thinking about construction of Cislunar city and in a more distant future, a permanent presence and a broader presence of humans in space. So just to start and introduce the topic, everything that has ever been done regarding space law was Earth-centric as of today. So all space laws have always kept in mind this perspective of Earth, states, nations, and civilians, of course, when it comes to the global benefits for all mankind, which is contained in the main treaties regarding space law. But if we are thinking about a permanent presence of civilians in space, so the construction of the so-called colonies, but Rino knows we hate the term colonies because when we will be going into space to inhabit it, we will not be constructing colonies, we will be constructing settlements, since the treaties prohibit claims of sovereignty and occupation in outer space. So there won't be an Italian colony, there won't be a US colony in space, there will be human settlements. So this is the correct term for indicating those kind of communities outside Earth's atmosphere. So it is important at this point to shift the attention from a geocentric perspective to a law for space perspective. So we have to start building the law for space, for people inhabiting space, for people working in space. Of course, everything that is related to an Earth-centered law is limited. It is limited because missions, as of today, were limited itself. So the focus was on temporary missions. We do have a little community in space today, which is the International Space Station, but those performing missions in that particular environment are trained people who are there for a specific amount of time, carrying out specific experiments. So they have a mission. If we think about civilians in space, those civilians won't have a specific mission. So they won't be involved in all mankind, which is the term that is often used to indicate astronauts. So the limit, which is the focus on temporal mission, has to shift, because when we think about the construction of a legal architecture that is able to sustain the life of people in space, we cannot just limit the idea behind those rules to the belonging of those people to a specific mission. So it is important to expand what is included in today's treaties and imagine new laws that are capable of regulating the daily life of those people and also the relationship between the settlements and the planet Earth. So the logic has to shift as well. which leads to the underlying of a governance gap, as no framework exists today, so we have to start building it from scratch. We found some foundational principles that can be applied when imagining the law for space, which is self-governance. We want the people in space to be able to govern themselves. The rule of law, equity, and sustainability are all principles that lead to the imagination of the rule of law to be as a tool. We want to give a tool to those people so that in a more distant future they will be able to govern themselves. So, of course, if we are imagining the Cislunar city, it will be quite little. There won't be thousands and thousands of people at the first time. So it is a work in progress that will go from a rule of law based on Earth, then accompanying the first settlers to start, just diving into the possibility to rule themselves, and in a more distant future, when those settlements will be inhabited by a lot more civilians, we want them to be able to rule for themselves. So the first step we can start thinking about as of today is to innovate the treaties. The treaties regarding space law are pretty old. So a lot of the activities that are carried out in space as of today are not even regulated in those treaties, because of course so many activities, and for example the presence of the private companies in space itself was not even applicable when those treaties were first adopted. So the first step that can be done is to innovate those sources of law. And of course, it is unspeakable to create a coordinated authority on that matter. That authority should be in the right form, which is, of course, the United Nations. But this is pretty controversial because it is very difficult to put together different sensibilities and different interests and opinions to just build something so binding like international law in this kind of scenario is. So as of today, the innovation regarding space law is often done through guidelines and law. So yeah, this is something that we hoped for, but it is pretty controversial, and which leads, of course, to judicial debate. This is something that will be to be addressed when first establishing the Cislunar city. Just very fast, we wanted to give you a glimpse of the distant future. So the first step is to innovate what we have today. The second step is to think about the Cislunar city, a very little community of civilians in space. And later on, we can imagine what can be constructed for a broader settlement. So their own assembly, executive authority, and a judicial system that enables those citizens to sustain their daily life from a legal point of view. Of course, there will be rights and responsibilities. The first step, shifting from a legislative perspective to a law for space perspective, is to recognize that universal rights are really universal. So they won't be tied to planet Earth, to Earth nations, and the acceptance of those rights from Earth nations. Because those settlements will be independent, and the settlers will have to govern from themselves. There is an imagined pathway to do so. We have already talked about it, but just to summarize: foundation, semi-binding frameworks, and then in a very distant future, an autonomous legal order. And this can be seen as a laboratory for humanity's future. I always say space law can work as space applications do. So, like Velcro, for example, which was invented to work in space and then came back on Earth, easing our daily life somehow. In this exact same way, space law can be built from space and then come back to Earth, easing international dialogue and cooperative frameworks. So it is really important not just for people who will be inhabiting space, but also for people that are living on this planet. Because if we have to imagine our framework from scratch, it is important that this framework is agreed upon by the most specific nations, but also accessible to the least specific nations. So everybody has to be to have access to space and to space law. So this kind of evolution benefits both space and people living on Earth. Main legal issues. So this is just summarized because there are a lot of you can imagine issues going around on this topic. I don't know if Professor Gatt wants to chime in. I'd like to leave her the floor. Take a look about that.
Grazie, piacere vederti personalmente, bravissimo, come sempre, bravissima. Sì, io proprio vorrei sedere se proprio grazie vicino a te, visto che Veronica vi ha fatto una panoramica funziona questo.
Ok, vi ha fatto una panoramica molto ampia, attenta e soprattutto ha espresso nella sua valutazione, che poi anche la nostra del gruppo, in questa visione, questa vision che abbiamo del framework legale dello spazio cislunar ed eventualmente anche quello marziano, chiaramente c'è un forte afflato utopico, utopistico, nel senso che ovviamente quello che si spera è che il modo di fare diritto, di creare il diritto, di applicare il diritto in queste comunità superi quelle che sono una serie di problematiche presenti sul diritto terrestre. Innanzitutto sottolineo quello che diceva Veronica sul fatto che il diritto dovrebbe essere più un'autoregolazione, un continuo trovare una soluzione interna e non imposta dall'altro. Quindi è evidente che c'è questa forte aspirazione a comunità di per sé pacifiche e tendenti all'autoregolazione. Ovviamente raggiungere questo obiettivo, che rimane il nostro obiettivo principale, richiede dei passaggi intermedi di carattere tra virgolette tecnico, nel senso che chiaramente per giungere a questa tipologia di framework legale è necessario, diciamo così, passare attraverso alcuni step, che sono chiaramente soltanto delle proposte che noi abbiamo fatto appunto a completamento di quanto già stato detto e che rimane l'obiettivo principale. Ovviamente la creazione, come ha già detto Veronica, noi dobbiamo superare il trattato sullo spazio extraatmosferico del 1967, che chiaramente è a dir poco vetusto, cioè nel senso non ha attualmente nessuna reale valenza prospettica, ecco, qualcosa che riguarda il passato. Ripeto, in questo cammino, in questo progressivo cammino verso una regolazione degli spazi cislunar, ci sono problemi di tipo pubblicistico e di tipo privatistico. Quelli di carattere pubblicistico riguardano molto sinteticamente la sovranità e la giurisdizione, l'occupazione e l'uso del suolo, lo sfruttamento delle risorse naturali, la tutela dell'ambiente e il coordinamento internazionale. La prima cosa che abbiamo tentato di fare è quella di creare delle bozze di un ipotetico trattato internazionale che dovrebbe regolare, diciamo così, l'occupazione del suolo, quindi contemporaneamente cercare di coordinare tra di loro esatto, diritto di fonti sovraordinate, relazioni, questioni diciamo di enforcement, oppure invece capire se dobbiamo dare maggiore rilievo e pesantezza alle fonti consuetudinarie. Quindi questo è il primo problema. Per quanto riguarda il trattato internazionale, poi si dovrebbe accompagnare con un trattato sugli insediamenti extraterrestri, il quale aggiorni il trattato che ho precedentemente citato, quello del 67, e che individui disciplinandole delle zone di protezione scientifica, per esempio delle no-go zones, che in qualche modo affronti il problema della registrazione internazionale degli insediamenti extraterrestri e che crei delle regole comuni per l'estrazione e l'utilizzo delle risorse, cioè una Space Resource Governance che ovviamente è necessaria, e soprattutto fissi una serie di standard minimi per la sicurezza e la sostenibilità ambientale, perché il nostro paradigma fondamentale è quello di creare insediamenti sostenibili dal punto di vista architettonico, ambientale, tecnologico, ma anche dal punto di vista giuridico. E poi, come Veronica ci ha detto, l'istituzione di un'autorità spaziale internazionale sul modello di quella dei fondi marini dell'ONU, con competenze di coordinamento e di risoluzione delle controversie. Questo per quanto riguarda gli aspetti più che altro pubblicistici. Ci sono però tutta una serie di aspetti privatistici, ad esempio lo status giuridico degli abitanti delle comunità cislunar, cittadinanza, diritti fondamentali, limiti di giurisdizione nazionale. Poi c'è il problema della regolazione dei rapporti contrattuali, proprietà e uso degli habitat dal punto di vista tecnico-privatistico, responsabilità civile e penale, governance interna, ad esempio, come dicevamo, strumenti e forme di autogoverno per gli insediamenti, che è l'elemento su cui Veronica ha molto insistito. Quali sono le possibili soluzioni normative? Dobbiamo creare e scrivere ex novo uno statuto degli abitanti extraterrestri, cioè una carta dei diritti fondamentali che non può essere quelle che già conosciamo, ma che deve essere qualcosa di diverso. Dobbiamo individuare un regime di proprietà e di uso del suolo extraterrestre, ad esempio riconoscere diritti di utilizzo temporanei non trasferibili sul suolo extraterrestre, evitando delle appropriazioni sovrane, ma garantendo una certezza giuridica. Abbiamo bisogno di una contrattualistica standardizzata ad hoc, abbiamo bisogno di una giurisdizione condivisa, cioè gli insediamenti multinazionali applicano un sistema misto, giurisdizione dello Stato di registrazione e regolamenti interni comuni, oppure possiamo anche superare questa fase, però probabilmente una fase intermedia ci vorrà. E poi, ripeto, gli organi di autogoverno, le assemblee degli abitanti con i poteri di normazione interna sul modello della municipalità. Linee guida progettuali per realizzazione del framework, principio di non approvazione, cioè vietato rivendicare sovranità, ma ammesso invece l'uso responsabile degli spazi. Noi dobbiamo uscire, come Veronica ci ha detto all'inizio, da questa logica chiaramente del potere, dobbiamo considerare bene comune lo spazio extraterrestre, cioè Luna e Marte non dovrebbero essere dei singoli stati terrestri, ma dovrebbero essere considerati un bene comune dell'umanità proveniente dalla Terra. Dovremmo mettere come punto di riferimento l'equità intergenerazionale, cioè norme per la sostenibilità e la conservazione dell'ambiente, devono essere alla base di tutto. La governance multilivello, cioè ONU per i principi generali, stati e aziende per l'applicazione operativa e soprattutto le comunità di insediamento per l'autogoverno, e la tutela dei diritti umani, garanzia minima indipendentemente da qualsiasi nazionalità e da qualsiasi status. Vi ringrazio.
Grazie Veronica, grazie a Lucinda. Passiamo all'ultimo, andiamo di fretta perché siamo un po' lunghi. Passiamo all'ultima presentazione che riguarda Bibliotecary Mind for a Bibliotecary Spaces, Antonio Del Mastro. Antonio è CTO of the Mars Planet Technologies, is coordinator of the Mars City project, is president of the Italian Mars Society. So Antonio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gennaro, for this invitation, participation in this event. I will talk a bit about Mars. Normally, when people talk about Mars, talk about technological challenges and the problems which are related to the human exploration of Mars. These challenges are many and are very difficult. But today I would like to start from another point of view. Slide, please. Our condition is the condition of this picture. This is a picture taken by the rover Curiosity on Mars some years ago. And this is where we are, like the blue dot, pale blue dot of Carl Sagan and other pictures taken from Moon. We are all there. There are many problems. One of these are the wars and other political and economical challenges. To become a multiplanetary species, or at least a biplanetary species, we need to change a little bit our mindset. We need to change also our cultural approach to the human exploration of space. And please, next slide. So the problem is in many points related to the fact that our culture, like our body, has been developed in our terrestrial environment. If we want to go further, if we go to explore our solar system, we need to change our mindset. We need to think that our culture, our educational systems, our industry, our economic systems must be part of this challenge, which is the exploration of the human, of the solar system, at least. So one problem is, before to go on Mars, is our imagination, our culture is limited by our cultural environment. And so we need to change this approach. Next slide, please. It is important in this period to develop rockets, make studies on habitats, but to prepare our generation to the future of a biplanetary world, we need to put in the basics of the curricula the knowledge of space science, and everything is related to technological challenge posed by space science. So this must be necessary to create a new generation which are able to understand the impact of space exploration, and when they will become the ones who will lead our planet, they will more focus on this scope. We know that space business is not a business that can be developed in a few days. It is something that takes a generation. At least during this century, we, as many others, we hope that there will be at the end stable stations on Moon and on Mars. To do that, a new generation, a revolution of the educational system is necessary. Next slide, please. So, what is a biplanetary mind? No? A biplanetary mind is a mind that is able to think in a planetary scales, is able to understand multiple environments, not only terrestrial environments, but also Moon and Mars environment or asteroids environment. So this must be a part of our everyday life. This is necessary from a technical point of view, but also from a cultural point of view, because there are at the moment, I remember, I think 55 or 56 wars in the world, and these wars are obviously a challenge for the future of humankind. But people like me don't think that the most important reason to go on Mars and eventually on Moon is related to have a backup planet. This is necessary long term. I think this is necessary, and this is really a good reason to do that. But the concept is that our evolution has given us our brain, our mind, which at this stage must change, must take into account the factor of the space related to the factor of space exploration. Next slide, please. So this biplanetary mind, it is necessary also for other reasons. It is Normally, we think in a serial manner. We think a step by step, like the idea that we have of the time. No? We know that from general gravity theory, time is not a serial event, is an event which is located everywhere with different clocks. In the same manner, we can say that our mind must not be any more serial, but must be able to work in parallel, because our world is a world of huge information. We are in a world where have access to a lot, huge information, much more that we are able to access in our previous generation. So a mind which is biplanetary must be able to look at this system in a parallel manner, not in a serial manner, taking into account the concept, the basic concept that our future is necessarily related to the exploration of space. So let's go to the next slide. We are in some circumstances, like in the Borges Infinite Library, where there were infinite books, a huge amount of information. We cannot access to understand our world to this information in a serial manner, but as when we surf on the web, we access to parallel information at the same time. So a multi-layered culture is necessary to be able to face the technological challenges which are related to the human exploration of Mars, and I hope in a short period, that is a period of a generation, to be able to solve the technological challenges related to the human exploration of Mars. Next slide, please. So, entering in more practical topic, we know that once Mars settlement will be completed, it will trigger industrial transformation. Space mining of world resources, closed loop life super technologies, green industries applied on Earth and Mars. Well, to be part of this, a first step is to think in a dual use manner. We are not able to invest directly in this technology without thinking to their application to the Earth. It is what we call Mars to Earth application. That is, starting from the technological challenge, we can investigate this challenge and develop technologies which can have a dual use. This is also true, obviously, for Moon, but for Mars, this is much, much higher, because for the simple reason that Mars is a planet. It has a special structure which, to some extent, is similar to the Earth, and has many resources that we can use. So a first challenge is how to develop technologies which are dual use and can be applied for economic growth on Earth, and are important for the settlement of Mars. Next slide, please. Biplanetary mind, the concept of related to having a parallel mind, is important from my point of view also for another topic. We know which are the topic of the topics posed by AI challenge. AI is a challenge for humankind because it is a challenge between AI and our mind. To overcome the AI challenge, we need also in this case another mindset. We need to change our mindset if we want to control AI in the future. And we know, and we could talk about a lot about this, that AI already plays a very important role in the space application, and it will play a very important, much more important role in the future, and also for what is related to the settlement and development of technologies for Mars. It will be a key point of interest. So the planetary mind becomes an overall tool that is useful to overcome the challenge of our time, not only for space exploration, but in general as our human system. Next slide, please. Now, entering a more practical application, the key question is what could do Europe in a biplanetary future, and obviously what is the role of Italy in a biplanetary future. We have a beautiful space agency, beautiful research center, as someone we have seen before, but the problem is that we have not exactly a complete space economy system. Europe depends on many points from the jobs of NASA, and it will depend on it for different decades in the future. This is obviously due to some political and social condition, but I want to be clear to say that the game is over. The change in the political environment in the world poses not only the role of Europe in a political sense, but also in a scientific and technological sense. Now, since Mars settlement and obviously Moon settlement will be a huge economical opportunity,
Antonio, 2 minuti.
we cannot rely only on this opportunity, on institution to develop this opportunity. We must trigger industrial system. Next slide. So the idea is to create a kind of published manifesto for a biplanetary Europe in which these principles are applied, and we invite especially industry economic system to be part of this run, of this challenge, to give a more profitable future to Europe and obviously to Italy. Next slide. Time is running. So we must work on life support and sustainability systems. The most technology that we can investigate for Mars exploration are technologies that are affordable for us. We must only work on them with intention and involve all the possible industrial and technological partners. Next slide. The same also for structure, regolith production, robotics, and investigation about new materials. Next slide. And obviously things related to AI, human factors, deep space communication. All these things can be part of our industrial system now. We can activate a program to involve all our industrial system to participate to this challenge and to activate dual use applications. Next slide. I want to just give you, after this theoretical talk, a little bit an example that demonstrates that Mars is alive. This is a map reconstructing the global dust map on Mars, which is currently under investigation and very important for the future settlement of Mars. Last slide. Next slide.
Finito.
Wait a moment, Antonio. Sta fatta una? Forse ho cliccato troppo veloce io. Ecco. L'ultima proprio. Dopo di questa ancora.
È finito.
This was only to say that I hope that starting from now, you will start to think in a biplanetary manner and you will start to investigate how to apply this concept in your research. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Unfortunately, we have to rush closing the session, but we cannot do that taking another minutes of your time. There is Cislunar.
Slide of my presentation or my environment.
Quale?
And say something more about the critical aspect of the legal framework.
No, non è questa. È quella. No,
No,
nemmeno questa. È questa futuro.
Non ho sottolineato
No, nemmeno questa, ho
la
sbagliato.
comunità cislunar dal punto di vista legale
Sì, questa qua
implica
sì.
la necessità di ipotizzare degli scenari in
Questa
cui
sì, hai
ovviamente
ragione.
non ci sono soltanto esseri
Questa
umani,
qua
ma
andiamo
anche esseri
parecchio avanti però.
Cioè, in altre parole, i framework normativi da ideare devono contemplare la
Aspetta,
contemporanea
qual era?
presenza sul suolo lunare in una prima fase solo di entità non umane, regolate, comandate, governate. Ecco, questo eravamo arrivati, diciamo, a un certo punto, cioè eravamo arrivati, ecco, non qua, eravamo arrivati qui. Questi erano appunto gli elementi main legal issues di public law, poi c'erano quelli di private law. Vabbè, questi erano quelli di private law che ho già detto e che non ripeto. Poi c'erano appunto le possible regulatory solutions, che abbiamo anche queste detto, e le conflitti. Ma la cosa importante erano gli aspetti critici, cioè il fatto che noi dobbiamo procedere normativamente immaginando queste tre fasi essenziali. La prima, presenza sul suolo extraterrestre, lunare o marziano di elementi robotici che devono essere governati da terra in via prevalente. Fase 2, presenza contemporanea di elementi umani e robotici, anche questi prevalentemente da governare, e poi una fase 3 in cui gli elementi le entità umane, quelle robotiche di carattere prevalentemente antropomorfo o comunque fortemente interattive a seguito del potenziamento dell'intelligenza artificiale, siano presenti in queste comunità in maniera massiva e quindi le comunità devono essere anche progettate per prevedere questa presenza costante e contemporanea. Poi ci sono una serie di elementi dal punto di vista tecnico-architettonico, adesso non voglio dire, ma insomma il problema è il genere di entità che popoleranno queste comunità, non soltanto quelle umane, anzi quelle umane in una seconda fase e in una terza comunque in presenza delle entità non umane. Grazie.
Grazie a te. Just to say one thing about this last point, according to a certain kind of estimation, the ratio between the robots and the humans was 10 years ago was 1 robot per 10 people. The projection to the end of this century is 1 person, 100 robots. Who knows? We will see.
Yes, of course. And so this is the problem. We have this problem from a technical, engineering, and also legal point of view, because this is a very important point.
Okay.
Critical aspect.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lucilla.
I want to you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And before closing, just 2 telegraphic questions from my side. Is there any question from the audience? I'm sorry, they're dying. So one telegraphic question to Giuseppe. Can you say from your standpoint something about the working group that we are going to launch soon?
Well, the working group that we are going to launch is basically going to look at what is the implication. You already explained what are the implications in everyday life on the future of a moon base, moon village around 2100. and with all the aspect and implication. So we're going to look to a reference moon village with a certain number of feature and activity, and then to assess using your skill and other organization skill, because as you said, this is going to be a global effort.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, Giuseppe. And same telegraphic question to Antonio. What, can you hear me, Antonio? Yes.
Antonio,
Yeah,
please.
he's switching on. Okay, Antonio, talking about the future, when you believe your scenario will be possible? And time frame, talking about time frame, talking 100 years, 1,000 years?
It depends. It depends on who will win the war. If the war, I mean war in the sense that the war to activate the settlement of Mars,
Yeah.
will be a public world, it will require probably more than this century. If the war will be won by private, and this is my wish sincerely, I think it's possible that it will happen quite soon, before the end of this century, or quite before this century. And to do that, it depends not only by big player, and it depends a lot from our economic industrial system. The reason I think, because Mars is very important, is because Mars is the most difficult challenge. So if we are able to overcome this challenge, we will be able to solve many challenges that we have on Earth. So it is, how to say, an Aristotelic approach. We solve first the most important principle, and after, in cascade, we will solve other problems. And in this sense, I think that if private will be part of this challenge, not only in US, because people talk too much about Elon Musk, while he has made a revolution in space rocket engineering, because Elon Musk is a single. We must instead work to create something for which is a systematic, and to become systematic, to be part of our biplanetary mind. This must be part of our industrial system, economic system. It is a cultural revolution, and this is our vision.
Okay, thank you very much, Antonio. Unfortunately, there is no time left. I want to ask a round of applause for the speakers. Thank you again once more to Giuseppe, Antonio in particular, being connected on remote, but also to Lucilla, to Nunzia, and to Veronica, of course. Just an announcement for all, the session, the future book corner has been anticipated at 6:15, it was at least. Anyway, it is Sala San Ferdinando, so we can go with it. So thank you once more. See you. Very last point, we will have another session similar to this one during the conference at the beginning of December in Torino. So we will meet there, Giuseppe, certainly also Antonio, and we will continue this discussion. Thank you once more, and have a nice evening.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Very important